What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Oscar's Cozy Corner. So my YouTube bestie, Tanny Games, tagged me in a really fun challenge video to share my current wish list for Disney Dreamlight Valley of the characters, biomes, and companions that I would like to see come to the game in an ideal world, or at least in my own world. If you haven't seen Tanny's video yet, go and check it out. I'm going to link it down in the description below. And a big thank you to Connor's Dreamlight Magic, who originated this challenge. So I will also link Connor's channel down below. I believe that I'm meant to tag someone, so the person that I'm going to tag to take on this wishlist challenge needs no introduction to the Disney Dreamlight Valley community. I'm going to tag Mr. Star in Sky. I'd love to hear what you think, Mr. Star. If you get time to make a video, join us. If not, that's absolutely fine as well, but I would really like to hear who and what is on your wish list for the game. I might have actually stolen one or two of Tanny's picks for my own choices for this wish list. We clearly share a brain on some of these choices. I actually think this is a really fun way to think about what is missing from the Valley, at least for me, and what would genuinely excite me as an individual. So today I'm going to take you through my picks for characters, biomes, and companions, let you know why I've chosen them, why I think they would be great additions to Disney Dreamlight Valley, and maybe even sprinkle in a little bit of parks lore along the way. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into my current wish list for Disney Dreamlight Valley. All right, gang, so first up, I want to talk about characters, and I'm not going to say this is in any particular order, but first up in my character list is actually Figment from the Disney parks. I know, this is a bit of a left field choice. Figment is not from any particular movie or TV series from the Disney stratosphere, but I do think that Figment has a cult following in the parks. Figment is a very popular character, and we did get a popcorn bucket for Figment, so he's on Gameloft's radar just a little bit. So Figment is from the Journey into Imagination at Epcot at Walt Disney World. Now, Figment is this kind of like mischievous, creative, really playful dragon figure that takes you through the ride. And I should say the ride has had multiple iterations, and Figment has been through a lot, but he's kind of become an unofficial mascot for Epcot. But he does take you through the ride. There's a lot of fun whimsy to him, and I just think in general, he's a really fun character that could bring a lot of chaos to the Valley because he is kind of like an agent of chaos. Also, the ride just taps into that sense of childlike wonder, which I do think really merges well with the concept of the Forgotten and everything that we've kind of been through in the storyline of Disney Dreamlight Valley. I know that a lot of Figment's popularity is rooted in nostalgia, and that's absolutely fine. I feel like that's the game in general. A lot of this game is rooted in nostalgia, so I think in that case, he fits perfectly fine. I get that he doesn't have a movie or a TV show to kind of come along with him, but I do think that he has enough character within himself to actually carry an entire quest line as a villager in the Valley. I do also think that he could have some great interactions with the other villagers. There could be some really fun dialogue in there. And if we're thinking logistically, we do have Parks Fest come every year, so it could be a nice update at some point in the future to bring a really popular Parks character alongside Parks Fest as an update in general. I think that that could work. That's just me talking from my own parks bias, but I'm into the idea. Next up on my wish list is any character from The Incredibles. I'll take any of them. I'll take the entire family. I'll take Mr. Incredible. I'll take Elastigirl. I don't mind. The Incredibles is one of my favorite movies of all time. I do think it's incredible from start to finish. It is the perfect animated movie. Because of that, I feel like they need representation in the game. It wouldn't surprise me if we could see them in the next half of 2026, the latter half of the year, possibly rolling into 2027. I think it's about time that we could see them come to the game. As I said, I don't need every single character straight away. We have Mirabelle from Encanto. She's on her own. She doesn't have any of her other family members in the game at the moment. So if they wanted to bring one or two of them at once with perhaps a realm update, I would be very into that idea. I do think that The Incredibles is one of the more popular Pixar franchises, but for me, what I absolutely love about it is the aesthetic, is the world of The Incredibles, that mid-century modern kind of time scale, that mid-century modern architecture and furniture is right up my street. I love that prior to playing Disney Dreamlight Valley, and I will eternally love that kind of aesthetic. It would be a really new visual language for the game. We don't have anything like that right now. So I would just really love to see some more sleek, retro-futuristic decor come to the Valley. And what better way to do it than with the retro-futuristic family themselves? I do also think that that could pair perfectly with a Tomorrowland biome, which I will get onto in just a second. But I can't finish up this section about The Incredibles without an honorable mention to Edna Mode. If they wanted to bring one of the Incredibles family and Edna Mode at the same time, I would be a very happy man. No capes, needs to be a line in this game. Also, just a note on Edna, can you imagine her running around the valley just criticizing everybody's outfits and that the only thing that she does? I would love that. As a little bonus, I would love to see Edna bring a new mechanic to the game, and that is something I've talked about for months and months, changing the color of basic clothes. I would love a dyeing station in some capacity, or to be able to take clothes to Edna, say, I would really like this top in yellow or green. Can you do it? And she says, yes. Here you go, have it back. So yeah, Incredibles is a no-brainer for me. I absolutely need them in the valley yesterday. Thank you, Gameloft. My third and final character for this wish list is the iconic Genie. In terms of heavy hitters and iconic characters that remain to be brought to the valley, Genie is definitely within that pool. I want Genie to come to the valley. I think everybody wants Genie to come to the valley. If you don't, I'm a little bit sus. I just think that his questline could be super fun. I think his interactions with villagers could be really fun. He could bring an unmatched level of chaos to the valley. Of course, Robin Williams' performance as Genie is absolutely legendary. May he rest in peace, but the current voice actor also does an incredible job as well. Of course, he is such a beloved character. He already has ties with Aladdin and Jasmine, who of course we got in the game earlier this year. And I do kind of think the community's been asking for him for ages, so I can definitely see him coming sooner rather than later. Moving on to biomes, and it should be no surprise that my first choice and my first pick for a biome in Disney Dreamlight Valley is some sort of turn-of-the-century Main Street USA vibe. This is a dream biome for me. It is my favorite area in the parks. I love Main Street USA. There's something about that architecture. There's something about that turn-of-the-century style for me that I just absolutely latch onto and adore. It kind of has links to Victorian, which we'll talk about in just a second for number 2, but there's that Victorian element to it. There's cobblestone streets. There's kind of like popcorn carts. There's stuff that we do have in the game already that does link to Main Street USA. So we do have the confectionery house skin, we do have the Main Street USA path, and we have the popcorn cart, which is kind of representative of that era. But to me, that just shows that Gameloft can do this aesthetic and they can do it well. So with the modular building kits that will be arriving with Wish Blossom Ranch, I would love to see a Main Street USA kind of vibe in that modular building kit set, so I could actually build a Main Street USA in my game. That would be an absolute dream. Other things that I'd love to see alongside that kind of aesthetic is more fencing in that style, possibly some garden stuff that works really well in that formal sort of vibe, and then even some trolleys or carts, maybe a horse-drawn carriage. All of those things kind of like come together to really tie into that Main Street vibe, and I just love it. Switch an approach from that kind of like jovial Main Street aesthetic, I would really love, and I know that we're getting Glamour Gulch, but I would really love a Victorian biome, but a Victorian Gothic kind of biome. So something a little bit darker, something a little bit more mysterious and spooky, something a little bit more atmospheric. I don't know what Glamour Gulch is going to look like just yet, so I can't judge that one. It does have elements of the things that I like in it, but I'm not 100% sold that it's kind of going to be that spooky vibe that I'm quite after with this suggestion. For me, the Forgotten Lands is kind of the only spooky adjacent biome that we do have, and it's very difficult to decorate up there. We've got the 2 ponds in the way and the treehouse, which is immovable, so I would really love a bigger, more expansive spooky biome so I could have some sort of Halloween or spooky decor up all year round. And when I talk about that Victorian Gothic kind of architecture or style that I'm after, I'm thinking of big estates. I'm thinking of sort of like Sleepy Hollow vibes alongside the Haunted Mansion. They did dip their toe into that aesthetic with all of the Haunted Mansion stuff that we got in the game just a few weeks ago. But just on a personal wishlist note, that sort of aesthetic, that gothic, maybe just grays would work really, really well for me. It doesn't have to be a bright color. It doesn't have to be over the top. I would just like something a little bit more moody, a little bit more spooky, and with some more Victorian influence. Finally, for biomes, one biome that I do not think we have any sort of influence in the game just yet, and that is a Tomorrowland-inspired biome. What I'm talking about is retrofuturism, that 50s, 60s sort of idea of what the future would look like. It's a very specific style. It's a very specific aesthetic, but I just identify with it. I absolutely love it. I think there's a lot of whimsy in it. I think there's a lot of hope in it. And I think that it would fit into the game very, very well. Of course, I literally wear my Tomorrowland hoodie in multiple videos. This is a great idea of what you could expect with one of those biomes. Think Space Mountain, the Carousel of Progress, the People Mover. Tron, not quite right from Walt Disney World at present. That's a little bit too futuristic, but just that mid-century modern aesthetic combined with the retro futurism vibe. There's always lots of bold colors within that sort of aesthetic. There's teals, there's oranges, some creams, lots of contrasting but also complementary colors that work really well together. Lots of sleek lines, lots of space age architecture, kind of that like atomic age decor. We could also have maybe like rockets and monorails. I would love monorails in any capacity to come to this game. If you could build a monorail track in any biome, and as soon as it completes a loop, it automatically puts a monorail that just cycles around it on top. Oh my goodness. That is the dream. I would absolutely love that. But to have an entire biome dedicated to that retro-futuristic or Tomorrowland aesthetic would be the ultimate peak of this game for me. There's so much visual inspiration to pull from for that. Of course, we've got The Incredibles. They have their own entire visual language and their own entire world. We also have Wall-E and Eve. Those dabble in retro-futurism just a little bit. And then the Inside Out Tower, that would fit really well in that aesthetic as well. So I just think there's lots of options. I think Gameloft are on the right track, and maybe one day we could, fingers crossed, see some sort of Tomorrowland or retro-futuristic inspired biome. Moving on to companions, and this is where I actually took 2 of Tanny's companions for this section for myself because I absolutely agree. And you know what they say, great minds think alike, and maybe some not so great ones, but we'll go with the great. So first up, companion number 1 is Pascal from Tangled. I absolutely agree with Tanny. I think he's a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of whimsy in Pascal. Like she said, in photo mode, that is when I typically use those companions. And I think that Pascal and a chameleon could have a real nice effect in these photos. I know he's a little bit small, but I think there's poses that you could do which could be a lot of fun. Maybe having him on your shoulder, any sort of approach or pose that he kind of does in the Tangled movie would work really, really well. I guess they would have to make it pretty obvious that he is around because he is quite small. Of course, he already ties into Rapunzel, which we do have in the game right now from A Rift in Time. He's cheeky, loyal, and has a lot of personality. So I just think in terms of a companion, he would be quite a good fit. It would also be cool if he had some color changing ability, an ability to actually blend into your outfit or something along those lines. That might be a little bit too complicated, but the option is always there with a chameleon. Next up is another of Tanny's picks for my own, and that is Raja from Aladdin. For me, I think that Raja is iconic, and they would be an iconic companion to come to the game because who doesn't want a tiger roaming around? Literally an absolutely incredible choice. Of course, we do already have Jasmine in the game, so it would be a perfect tie-in for that Aladdin vibe, and hopefully we could assign Raja to Jasmine as well, as we have done with the other notable companions. Tigers are really majestic. They have a regal sort of presence to them, which I think is prevalent throughout the entire game. We do have lots of royal dream snaps. There is a lot of royal sort of aesthetics in terms of furniture come to the game. So I do think that Raja would fit right in with that. And I think that Raja could have some really fun animations, maybe some swipes, maybe some bows or some stretches or some yawning. Really, really fun. And the size shouldn't be an issue considering we now have Max and Nana in the valley. They are huge characters, or I should say companions, to be roaming around with us. So I did think that at some point companions would only be stuck at a small size, but not anymore. The door has been opened for Raja specifically, so please come on in, Raja, and Gameloft, let's get to it. Finally, for number 3, in terms of companions, I do think that it is time Pluto came to the valley. I think that he is probably the most requested companion, or at least requested notable companion in the community. I need to reunite them. I need Mickey to have his dog back. We already have the rest of the Fab Five, so I feel like Pluto is now the only missing piece to completing that group of characters. I actually believe that Pluto is a bloodhound, or at least a bloodhound mix, so he is quite big, but again, the same as Raja and the same as the reference to Max, we have those characters or those companions at that scale now, so I don't think it will be an issue to bring Pluto in. I can absolutely see him being a premium shop purchase or a bundle in the same way that Max was. There's not much more to say about Pluto. Goofy, lovable, adorable, and a Disney icon, so it's about time that we get him back in the valley. And finally, just as a non-notable companion critter, I would really love to see peacocks come to the game. I feel like peacocks are absolutely stunning. I feel like they're really regal, they're visually striking, and they're pretty pompous, and I just think that we need that in a little critter. They would really fit well in maybe that Victorian biome I'm talking about. I know that they are not quite spooky, so they might actually go with something else, but they would fit in a formal garden build, they would fit in a palace sort of build. Anything that requires that sense of grandeur, I think that they could really work well. There's a lot of atmosphere there to work with. There's a lot of elegance to them. And given the color variants that Dreamlight Valley like to do with their critters, I think that the tail feathers could end up being absolutely beautiful. And in camera mode and in photo mode, can you imagine having the fanning animation or some sort of fan from the peacock tail and our avatar stood next to it, I think that would be chef's kiss. I would love to see that come to the game. So they get an honorable mention from me. All right, gang, so those are my picks. Figment, The Incredibles, any of them, plus Edna, and Genie for characters. And then Main Street USA, Victorian Gothic, and Tomorrowland for those biomes. And of course, Pascal, Raja, Pluto, and some peacocks for the companions. I had a lot of fun thinking about this, and honestly, I could have gone on for ages thinking about all of the different alternatives or honorable mentions that we could have brought in to this wish list. But if you made it this far, I would genuinely love to know what your picks would be. Let me know down in the comments below what you'd love to see for characters, biomes, and companions. What characters are you desperate to see? What biomes do you think are missing? And what companions would you love to have following you around? Whatever it is, sound off in the comments below. I always love to hear what you think. Once again, a big thanks to Tani Games for the tag in this challenge. A big thanks to Connor's Dreamlight Magic for originating it. And a shout out to Mr. Star if you want to take part in this little wishlist challenge. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. If you are new here and you want to join our cozy corner of the internet, also feel free to hit that subscribe button. We would love to have you along. With all that being said, I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one, and I will, of course, see you in the valley.